Hi, this is Katie Mazzocco of FullSpectrumProductivity.com. You see clutter, we see solutions. And I'm here today with your weekly video organizing tip. Today we are going to be talking about how to organize using glass jars. As you may be able to tell, we are in a different room today, and this is actually my home office, and this is the shelf on which I store all of my organizing and home office supplies. And I like things to look a bit more polished. I don't like for every bin to be plastic in my home, even though I'm very organized. And one way I achieve this is by thinking outside the box when I'm using containers. And this shelf of glass jars is no exception. And today I'm going to be sharing with you 3 tips to think about when you are using glass jars to store things. So 3 things that you need to think about. The first thing is to think about the shape of the objects you're storing. The second is to think about the height of the objects you're storing. And the third is to think about the frequency with which you are going to be emptying the jar. And I will elaborate further now. As you can see here, I have an array of different types of jars, shapes and sizes. And to illustrate our first point, which is to think about the shape of the objects you're storing, I have in this glass jar boxes of business cards, and they are square. Storing square things in round containers is not a good idea because you lose a lot of storage potential around the curved edges of the circle. So for this purpose, I have used a square jar. And my other square jar has boxes of tape in them, so they're also square objects. I will use this jar to illustrate my second point, which is to consider the height of objects. I wanted to be able to have all of my Sharpies and pens and pencils and highlighters standing up. So I was certain when I got the jar that there would be enough space that the pens and pencils would be able to stand, and they wouldn't need to lay flat because I would need to get a much larger jar if I wanted all of these to lay flat. And they'd be much more difficult to take out of the jar. And another reason to consider height is things like scissors. I have a spare pair of scissors in here, and typically there's also a ruler in here. But those are things that would not fit in any of these other jars because the jars aren't tall enough. The final tip I have was to consider the frequency with which you empty things. And to illustrate that, I have this jar which contains all of my technology recycling items. So I have all of my batteries, printer cartridges, spare electrical cords that are broken or obsolete at this point, and what else do I have? Oh, label maker cartridges for the labels. So all of these things are things that I accumulate rather quickly. By working with clients and working in my home office, I am frequently filling this jar probably about once a month, and that's the frequency with which I want to empty it. So once it becomes full, it's getting there, but it's not quite there. Once it gets up to about here, I will take everything out and separate it into the categories that need to be separated into, and take or send all of the items to the appropriate recycling places. If I wanted to only empty this jar every 3 months, and this is the amount I create in a month, I would need to have a jar that was 3 times larger. Or if I wanted to do it once a week, I would need something that was much smaller. So that's something to consider when you're organizing with glass jars. Well, that is about it for our tips today. I hope that you feel very enlightened about how to organize with glass jars in your home. Remember to consider the shape, the height, and the frequency with which you want to empty the jars. And if you have any comments, I would love to hear them below. What would you like to start storing in glass jars in your home? You can check us out at our website, www.fullspectrumproductivity.com. And on there, if you go to the upper right-hand corner, you can sign up for our weekly video e-zine, and you'll receive these videos straight to your inbox so that you can learn more and more about getting organized every week. I hope that you have a wonderful week and that you keep thriving. Thanks. Bye.